Live right now?
Yeah.
God, you're so fast.
Well, I kind of was pseudo ready for you. We are live now on Facebook. So welcome back to The Change Physician. I'm Melissa Cady, the Challenge Doctor, with my co-host, Dr. Kevin Cuccaro. And I am partially in the sun because it is starting to go down on this side of the sunroom. So you can, I think you can see me okay. But we're doing a quick little Friday Faves, which is all about sharing our favorite things of the past week, but of course, sharing also what was occurring in the podcast this past week and upcoming. So while Dr. Kevin Cuccaro is posting across other platforms.
I'm not posting anywhere. That's the other thing. We'll
Oh,
talk
you're
about
not
this on
set up?
Friday Fave, but I'm locked out of Facebook now because I need to get the 6-digit originator code that has been sent to a device. However, I don't know what device they're sending this to because
Yeah.
I'm not getting it. Anyway, yeah. So go through what we did and then I'll start.
I'm trying to get my eyes in the sunlight, but it doesn't look like it's working too well. Let's see. Let's give you some lighting. There we go, Zoom. Okay. Well, anyway, if you don't know what the Change Physician is all about, you can go to thechangephysician.com and you can join us in the community, whether you're a physician or a physician ally. And we'd love to have you there, and we'll give you updates from time to time of special events going on. And I am trying to get some better lighting here. Let's see. Let's try it this way. It's quite challenging when I'm not up in my office. Okay, it's okay right now. So why don't we touch on what happened in the past week? And do you have that up, or do you want me to let you know?
I have nothing up. I thought I was prepared, and I'm apparently not at all.
That's okay. Well, on you can go to Instagram if you guys don't know about our Instagram page. You can always jump in there, and occasionally we'll have some little trailers so you can get some quick sneak peeks at some cool content, or just some links over to what's coming up. But on the last two episodes for the prior week, actually, those will be rolling out on Instagram here this week. But episode 102 and 103 were our most recent chats, and that was right versus easy. So doing the right thing or the easy thing, and we've all heard this before in some format or another, but we kind of dive deep into that discussion as it relates to not only life but medicine in particular. And our other episode was about think, say, do, and really trying to get all these things in alignment. Because ultimately, as a lot of the wisdom says, if you can keep those all in alignment, then you tend to be happier in life and don't feel in conflict or have this what we call cognitive dissonance. You could be in a work-related environment that doesn't really align with your values, and then that can create some problems. So we kind of dive into those issues in episode 103. And our upcoming episodes, they are still being hashed out, so you'll just have to find out when they roll out, and you can hear a little bit more about them later. What were we going to say, Kevin?
I was going to say they're a big mystery. Dun, dun, dun.
The mystery episodes.
Mystery episodes.
So why don't we just get into the meat of it? What's our favorite thing of the past week? I have it's one or two, and then you already have one yourself.
I have a couple. You can go first, though, if you want, or would you like me to go?
Go ahead.
So the first one is just like the wonder of technology, because I had a catastrophic hard drive failure, which I think I related last week, and went to Apple, did all that stuff, got the new iMac, which has replaced my 10-year-old one. And it's a lot slicker. I mean, I don't get the newest device, but this is a 2020 or whatever. And you can obviously tell that now you can probably see my zits on my face with this camera. It's like insane. And then I was just talking before we got started, I'm probably gonna have to do makeup, like they do on the TVs, because this is all high def and everything.
Yeah.
But it's nice. I haven't had a chance to really use it yet. I don't use the computer too much during the week anymore. But I'm enjoying it, and it's other than a couple little snafus like that, didn't automatically build everything and put my Facebook in and everything else like that we just discovered. It's pretty nice. I mean, it's nice to have a new computer, and not that the old one's bad, but this one's pretty neat. The other thing that is my favorite thing this week is fruit. And that sounds kind of crazy, except for the fact that Oregon and living in Oregon has completely destroyed my ability to tolerate fruit eating in anywhere else. Like, I don't even like to buy fruit unless it's the season now, because our fruit is just so good. It's so cherries have started. We've done the last 3 weeks. We've been doing fresh strawberries, like the stuff that's just been picked that day, that are
Mhm.
so sweet. And then you go and like regular grossy, nasty strawberries in the grocery store. Oh. And then blueberries are going to be next week. And let me tell you, blueberries changed my life here.
Blueberries,
Yeah,
yes.
I like blueberries, but I never was really a big. They always were kind of cool. I grew up in Nevada, so it's not like I had a lot of fruit there. Period, other than it was in the grocery store. But I always liked blueberries because they sounded so mysterious. But our blueberries are freaking insane. Like, I didn't know until we moved here that there's all these different varieties of blueberries, and they're almost like varieties of wine, meaning you can get a legacy versus a Spartan versus a bluebell versus something, and they're all different and they taste different. Oh, Dukes. And it's just the coolest thing in the world. So, blueberry season's starting up. I can't wait for it. So I am a big appreciator of my favorite fruits of Oregon. It's awesome living here. So,
So, are there any blueberries that are not blue?
not that I've eaten. I think there's those little white ones, but I've never had them.
Okay.
We just have, oh, man, they're all like, they're all these different sizes and things too. And it's another one, you can't buy them in the grocery store anymore because you just get so ruined on them. But some of them will be the size of like your thumb, like
Hmm.
huge, massive, massive, juicy, delicious things. And
I'm jealous.
we'll eat pounds. You can go pick them yourself. And I think the most we've ever picked was about 30 something pounds at once. It didn't, and they're gone. But so we'll see how many we get this week. Last year we because of the pandemic, we just got we let them pick them for us for like an extra 50 cents. I don't know if we'll pick them again this year because that was really convenient, but I am really looking forward to it.
I think my two favorite not so healthy desserts to have some scrumptious, amazing blueberries would be in scones, not the soft
Mm,
kind, but like hard with
mm-hmm.
lots and lots of blueberries.
Yep.
Or um, as Whole Foods, I think, carries this, or Central Market carries them, but they're like just like these really flat blueberry white chocolate macadamia nut cookies.
That
And
sounds kind of good.
but I think the scones you could probably embed a ton of amazing blueberries in that and make it almost blue. Yeah.
Oh yeah. The problem is they never get to the baking part because they're so good fresh. You just you just eat them, and then we'll freeze like pounds and pounds of them, and then you just throw them in whatever. Then you can use the frozen ones for all the baking stuff. But it's really insane. Like, good fruit is just it's incredible. Like, we're really lucky with the grocery stores that we can get access to pretty fresh produce whenever during the year, right? That's one of the advantages of a modern kind of infrastructure and pulling from all these different locales.
Yeah.
But fresh fruit is something just like fresh tomatoes, right? They're just not the same. And there's something to be said about fresh blueberries that are not just the typical ones that they're growing for whatever reason. The peaches will be coming in a tree ripened peach. If you guys have never had a tree ripened peach, it is night and day beyond what you buy in the store.
Mm.
Like, they are so good. And and the reason that you can't get them in the store is because when they're so soft when they're tree ripened, that they just won't keep they literally have to eat them in within 2 or 3 days or they'll go bad.
Yeah.
But it's just crazy. Like, it's having a different appreciation for the fruits like that it's been, when we talk about gratefulness and favorite things or whatever, but it's something that I really appreciate. It gives me a there's a seasonality to this stuff that,
Mhm.
we'll move through. Right now we're in strawberries and cherries are coming in, and as I said, peaches are coming and blueberries, and then we'll start moving into the end of season fruits and vegetables. And it's just, I just really enjoy that, which I don't think I noticed. Well, we grew up with stuff, and my grandparents sort of grew stuff on their property, and I always appreciated the fall harvest. But yeah, it's just nice. It really is nice. So, but
Yeah.
definitely one of my favorite things.
Well, awesome. I'm sure it would be my favorite if I actually lived up there and got that scrumptiousness of fruit. But
Well, you get some loquats growing in your backyard, and I'll be flying down to your house.
I know that one got frozen in the whole
Oh,
Mozilla, but I just had a baby loquat arrive yesterday amongst the dozen little plants that I got. I can get them for like $12 to $15, these little plants, and delivered. And they're like, you got to be patient to have them grow, except for my Okinawan spinach from last week. That thing grows super fast. That is a worthwhile adventure. So I bought 3 more of those because I'm just going to spread them all over my yard.
pretty and tasty.
Yes. And so my favorite, since we're going to make this a quick one today, is that I had my 5th wedding anniversary yesterday.
Congratulations.
With my husband. Doesn't seem like a lot, but we got married a little later in life. So, but we've been together at least 11, 12, well, no, 13, 11, 12, 12 or 13 years. And so we went to celebrate. We went to go see The Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard.
It seems appropriate.
Yeah, it was funny. If anyone wants to know if it was good, I think it was pretty good. It's kind of funny slash I wouldn't call it adventure, but action. And so I guess my favorite thing is that just had some Cheesecake Factory and a nice little celebration with my husband, and didn't really work too much at all yesterday, and got to go to a movie at a 1:00 movie. I don't do that very often.
Whoa.
So 1:00 in the afternoon. So yeah, so that was my favorite thing of the week, because that was just kind of a awesome day, because most of the time I don't see my husband on our anniversary because the College World Series and the timing of when we're in town and all that. So anyway, that was my favorite.
But the College World Series hasn't started quite yet.
Yeah, the opening ceremonies are today. Tomorrow's the first games. Anyone following Texas baseball, they'll be playing Sunday afternoon or evening. I think on ESPN, so you can follow them there. I wouldn't know the stuff if it wasn't for the help of my husband. But there you go. So.
Well, I wouldn't either, other than that Oregon State has had historically a really good baseball team. And I think they were national champions in 2008, maybe later as well. Corey would probably know, because they have been really good. I don't know what they've been in the last couple of years, but I know we're going to make this short, but this I think is an interesting point of conversation, not necessarily for the favorite part, but there was an article that came out on women's sports. This was, I think, I can't remember if it was New York Times or something came out. So, and we've had multiple conversations about equity issues and minority representation and things like that. And those different perspectives, that is really important, I think, for every person to recognize that your perspective as an individual, whatever your ethnicity, background, et cetera, are, sex, and all that stuff. There are other people who don't have that. And if we're not taking the time to kind of to appreciate what those perspectives are, and let our biases, to soften our biases in such a way so we can understand those, not rigidly say, well, this is wrong, it doesn't fit my viewpoint, and obviously that's completely untrue. Particularly with the new federal holiday that we're having and some of the arguments that are going about that. But women's sports has been an interesting one, and inequity in women's sports. So Title 16, I think, is the
you have to check.
It's either Title 16 or Title 19. I can't remember the actual title, but there was an act a long time ago to improve women's sports, to put them on parity with men's sports, which is one of the reasons a lot of, like, some of the non-money earning teams at colleges have been eliminated so that the fundings can shift to the women's sports. And there was some, grumbling and growling, because what ends up happening is that the men's sports that make the money, not necessarily if they're good, but just if they're money, basketball, football, baseball, are ones who tend to get a lot of money. There's not a lot of money for the other men's sports, but then they're funding the women's sports. But one of the arguments for what people would bring up, saying that they disagreed with, say, but I think it's, again, Title 16 or whatever, the Title 16 rules, was the fact that they would say that women's sports don't produce the income. And so if we're going to be capitalistic about that, we have to look at sports that produce income, and then we should fund those appropriately. But what was really fascinating is that college women's softball, so the College World Series is coming up, and women's softball has the same amount of viewership as College World Series baseball does. And the discrepancy between what is being supplied to the women athletes in terms of playing schedule, on-site facilities such as showers, perks afterward, including the banquets and things, as compared to the College World Series athletes, was frankly obscene. And it kind of made me upset as a father to even read about it. So, and I think it's just another example is we tend to use these arguments saying that, well, it's capitalism says that they're, that just answers everything. And it doesn't. I mean, we have to step beyond that in certain situations to recognize that let's look what the data actually says before we make these decisions and before we make up our mind. And frankly, it was just absolutely shocking to me that I discovered that, because I've been one to think, well, yeah, obviously there's more viewership with men's sports, and it kind of makes sense. I still want to make sure that women's equity is there, but to see that there are sports where there's equal viewership and yet the parity still isn't there with the way that we treat the athletes was quite frankly shocking to me.
I'll have to bring that up with Corey, but yeah, that's something to definitely think about. It's not something you should, say one thing, but it's really something else. You need the data. You need to be willing to open your eyes to the data at least.
Well, and it is just, and that's a recurrent thing that we talk about all the time, is it is so easy to let your personal beliefs and biases to drive what your decisions are. And I'll raise my hand on that. I am very opinionated, but the best thing that I've probably learned over the last 15 plus years, 10, 15 years, was the fact that look at the data first, and then being willing to objectively watch that data and listen to it and say, well, maybe this is right. If this is right, what else would I see? Rather than just simply say that this isn't true. Oh, I love that book.
And
I do love
read this
that book. Yeah,
I'm about to start it.
That's a great book. Yeah, and as I said, the Adam Grant book, what I brought up the last couple of weeks, he talks about this quite a bit. He talks at the preacher, the politician, the preacher, the politician, the scientist, and then there's another P. I can't remember who but these different views, and he really recommends we need to look at things like a scientist, where we put forth hypotheses and test them and be willing to challenge these things. So anyway, if people are out there and you guys are listening, one of my favorite things was just other people would be a little bit more willing to check their biases and to challenge those a little bit more and be willing to say, well, maybe I'm wrong. And if I'm wrong, what would I expect to see? And maybe this data is correct. And if that data is correct, how would that change? And if I am ignoring the data, why am I ignoring it? What evidence do I have to support that? I think that's incredibly important for physicians, and certainly for physician allies, and really any human being out there.
Yeah, well, why don't you take us out with that? Because my husband's waiting on me for a nice walk.
Waiting for the nice walk in the background. So, all right, folks. So this is the Dr. Kevin Cuccaro with my fabulous and amazing co-host, Dr. Melissa Cady, who has celebrated her 5th wedding anniversary to her fantastic husband, Corey. I don't know what Corey's last name is.
Jackson.
Corey, I knew that. Corey Jackson, who also has a podcast, by the way, that if you are into sports, and particularly the weird Australian type of sports, it's Into the Sheds. It's available on all your favorite podcast networks as well. If you have other favorite things, please let us know. Comment on the stream here at Facebook, or if you're listening to this later, you can contact us directly at drkevin@thechangedphysician.com. And we will see you on the next episode. Till next time, stay well.
Yes, and just last comment, Outside the Sheds will be in the comments.
There we go.
You find his podcast.
Inside the Shed's the other one.
That's right.
He needs an inside and an outside.
That's right. All right. See you all soon.
Take care, folks.